Hello and welcome to this special interview with HOMTV. I'm Catherine Weddle. Today we'll be speaking with Derek Perry, current Deputy Township Manager and Director of Public Works in Meridian Township. Derek has recently accepted a new position in the City of Marshall as a City Manager and will be leaving the township after 7 years. Derek, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
First off, why don't you tell me a little bit about your professional background and how long you've been in local government?
I've been in local government a couple decades, actually. Originally, I got my undergrad in forestry through Michigan Tech. Got hired in with the city of Sturgis to help with their park system and their forestry, their urban forest. And after, it was about maybe 8 years with them, I actually took a position with the city of Marshall, where I'm actually returning to. And in that role, I was the Deputy Director of Utilities and Infrastructure. So a lot of water, sewer, roads, all that aspects. And a few years after that, I was recruited to the city of St. Joe to be their Public Works Director by our current manager, Frank Walsh. Worked with him for 7 years. And then, before I started here, he reached out and we were talking about some potential jobs that I was looking at. And he said, well, there's an opportunity here in the future for the an assistant township manager at the time, and also the director of public works and engineering, because a couple positions were retiring. They were looking to combine some positions. So as that became a reality, I threw my hat in the ring, and lo and behold, I ended up here in Meridian Township. So I had a great opportunity to work with Frank Walsh again. So and along the way, I got my master's in public administration too through Western Michigan University. So I'm a Bronco and a Husky.
So what were some of your major projects that you worked on in your time in Meridian Township?
There was lots of projects because Public Works and Engineering really deals with all the physical assets of the community. So there's water main replacement, sewer projects, sewer repairs, lift station, generators, a lot of stuff that's out of sight, out of mind. People don't think about, but it's really critical to their everyday, really quality of life, public health, public safety kind of thing. When people turn the faucet, they want to make sure that water works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And when they flush the toilet, they want to make sure it goes away. Same thing. They don't want delays. They don't want disruptions. So proud of the team that really provides that service, which would be our public works teams, our engineering team, people at the Elmsville plant, which actually makes the water, and then the team at the City of East Lansing at the wastewater treatment plant. It really takes a huge team to do all that. And of course, there's a local road program, which this is going to be the third year of that program. It's a 10-year program, so I'm excited to see what the next 7 years brings. I know that'll bring great improvements to the neighborhoods. And then, of course, we love to help our friends in Parks and Recreation on projects too. So I do have a parks background, so I love those types of projects. And there's just great opportunities. Pathway programs, the Okemos Road Boardwalk, I think that's a pretty stellar project that was designed in-house by our engineering team, which is pretty cool. And, having that constructed, that's, those types of projects bring pride to me. In fact, I love going back to some of my previous communities I worked in to see some of those things. But projects are cool and exciting, and they're critical to a community to create that sense of place. But really, what you miss is the people that you work with, right, when you leave an organization, and that's what really carries you through.
And speaking of those people that you worked with, do you have any favorite memories over these past 7 years? Something that sticks out?
Well, there's all kinds of memories, right? Good laughs, maybe some that shouldn't be talked about, but the boardwalk, that stands out. I think that's pretty cool that a community of our size, with our size of engineering team, was able to do that in-house. A lot of communities would just say, we're going to bring in a consultant to do that. Again, a lot of great interactions with the residents, a lot of great interactions with the township board. I can't say enough about how wonderful it is, the relationship I have with the township manager. Again, we don't always agree on everything, but it's important to have that dialogue, and I think it's for the betterment of not only Meridian, but when we were in St. Joe too. So I really appreciate my relationship with Frank.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So are there any major projects in the works right now that are going to be taken over for whoever fills your position as assistant manager?
Absolutely. So when we do projects, we're we're thinking about projects we're going to do in the future, plus we're planning projects we're going to do next year, plus we're, working on finalizing the projects we're going to do this year. So we think long term in public works. It's not necessarily, what's this month going to be. There's stuff going on this month, but we have to think long term. So local road programs, one of those. Again, the way road funding works and the responsibility that the county has, it's just tough for them to make neighborhood streets a priority. So that's where we have our local road program with our dedicated millage that supports that. And that, again, is going to be a 10-year program. The reality is it took several decades to get into the situation we are with our road system. It's going to take us 10 years to get out. But after that 10-year mark, we're going to have a good road system that I think everyone can be proud of here. And then again, all those infrastructure projects, we have long-term planning with those. So parks, pathways, water, sewer, all that stuff takes a lot of planning. So the next person is going to be very busy.
Absolutely. Is there anything that you have learned here in Meridian Township that you're going to take with you when you go back to Marshall?
For sure. There's always lessons you learn. No matter how long you spend in local government, there's always lessons to be learned. And a lot of those have to do with maybe personnel management or dealing with residents, questions, concerns. How can you better explain projects to people? I mean, life's a learning process, right? And your professional life is no different, honestly. And communication is one of those things that you constantly have to be working on. The township does a lot of great things as far as reaching out to our residents, but there's always that gap, and we're always looking to how do we fill that gap, how do we message to our people correctly, and that those problems pop up with projects, right? Because people want to know, even though the county's replacing the bridge project and we've been talking about it for several years, between now and November, we're going to be responding to calls and questions related to that project. And I'm sure once the detour and the hard closure starts, we're going to have many questions about, I didn't know anything about this project, So how do you overcome those things? So those are the lessons you learn, and what are the best ways to communicate with people.
So do you have any advice for the new assistant manager of Meridian Township?
Dan Hausmer is going to do a great job. He loves this community. He lives in this community. The only advice I would have for him, honestly, is be yourself. And, when you don't have the answer, don't be afraid to ask questions. Seek out people that maybe do. And, that would be my only advice. And, just the other thing that's important to me is customer service and making sure that's a priority. I like to say, you should treat the resident like how your grandmother should be treated. So, restoration's a big issue typically with projects. So, sometimes the crews get frustrated that we got to go back there again and do some more black dirt and seeding. And the reality is yes. So if that was your grandma's front yard, how would you want her to be treated? And sometimes that helps change that mindset. But again, Dan has excellent, customer service in mind, so I know that'll carry him through.
So what are you most looking forward to in your new position?
I think it's just the different role, right? So here in the organization, I wear a couple hats. One is the Deputy Township Manager, and the other is Director of Public Works and Engineering. In Marshall, I'll have a Director of Public Services. And I will be the city manager, which means I'm in the first seat. So that's a different perspective. It's a different position. Instead of reporting to one individual like I do here, Frank, I have elected officials that I have to work with and, do some of that big picture type of planning. So I'm excited to do that, really to kind of help shape and drive the future of the city of Marshall.
Is there anything else you'd like to say to the community?
I want to thank the community for the opportunity they've allowed me to have here in Meridian Township. I want to thank the Township Board. They've been excellent to work for. All those individuals are stellar, and they truly care about the community. Same thing with all the citizen volunteers on boards and commissions. Really want to thank them for their hours of dedication that they do. Our partnerships with the county agencies and other peers, state agencies, I really value those partnerships. Really have tried hard to work closely with the Ingham County Road Department, their team, and also the Ingham County Drain Commission, the Commissioner, Pat, and also his team, Carla, and really it's been a great journey with them, and I'm excited the partnerships we've developed and the projects we've been able to accomplish. Paul's in there too. Paul Pratt, I don't want to forget him. He's currently working with me on the Daniels Drain, and I know that's a big project. So that's the downfall, right? When you start mentioning people, all of a sudden you're always fearful that you're going to leave someone out. But there's so many people to mention. And then at the end of the day, any success that I've had as a manager here really belongs to the people that I work with, the team members, the folks in engineering, the folks in public works. In order for me to be successful, they need to be successful, and hopefully I was able to provide them the resources that they need so that they can accomplish their job and provide that public health and public safety to our community. So again, I guess in closing, what's bittersweet really is the working relationship now that's going to end with Frank Walsh, the manager. Again, we worked 7 years in St. Joe. It's a great team. Same thing here in Meridian, and that's definitely going to be one of the big changes because our day-to-day conversations discussing the organization and how best to move it forward, that's probably going to be the biggest change for me, honestly.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us. I wish you luck
All right,
on
thank
your
you
new
very much.
adventure.
Appreciate
Thank you for
it.
being here.
Thank you.
Catherine Weddle, HOMTV.